Well, as we head back into more and more social and work situations, you might notice your social skills are all a bit rusty. Well, don't worry about it, though. You're not alone. A new book by Susan McPherson called The Lost Art of Connecting offers some meaningful tips on reconnecting. Well, Susan, I can't think of another time we need this as more than post-pandemic. The lost art of connecting. We've all lost the art of connecting. How are we going to reconnect?
It isn't as hard as we think, and I liken it to riding a bike. We all know in the spring when we get our bikes out from storage, the first 4 or 5 blocks you feel like you're going to die, and then by the 5th block you've got it. So I think partly is just getting out and doing it, but doing it in a way that is gentle on yourself. Meaning it's not time to throw yourself back into a room full of 100 people or even 50 people, but start baby steps, 1 or 2 people, and then have each of them bring 1 or 2 people.
I like that. I like that. So starting with the smaller social circles. Another issue is a lot of us are going to be heading back to work. I know us, for example, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be around all these people we've only seen over Zoom for the last several months. So how do we work on rebuilding and renewing our relationships in the workplace?
The one thing we have all experienced is something together, right? I mean, most things in the world happen maybe here and then maybe a few years later there. But collectively, everyone in this country and internationally have experienced challenges. Some obviously far, far more extraordinarily, horrifyingly so. But everybody has suffered some. And that collective malaise, that collective experience gives us a sense of vulnerability that we've never had before. So in some ways, I am very optimistic about connecting and reconnecting with employees because we've all experienced this. And, you know, one of the underlying notions of my book is always leading with how can I be of help? How can I be of support? And quite frankly, I don't know who doesn't either have needed help in this past year or will be needing some support or assistance. So it's a great way to kind of break the ice and start the conversation. Say, I've had a tough time, and be open and upfront. How are you doing? Is there anything you could use a little bit of help with?
I love that. I mean, so it's as simple as asking, how can I help?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you can't expect people to open up to you if you're not going to be a little bit vulnerable to them. We have all the tools to do a teeny bit of research before we try to connect with someone we don't know, to find out maybe something that is going on in their mind, or some new promotion they have that maybe you have a connection that might be helpful to them.
Given that vulnerability you mentioned, I think employers should be more mindful of the fact that maybe full-time all the time is not really going to be the best on everyone's psyche. So do you have any suggestions on how managers can better structure like a hybrid workplace for employees?
Well, it's interesting. There are so many surveys. You know, I see surveys that are saying 80% of people want to go back to the office. I see 80% of people want to stay home. You know, so it's like, which research do you follow? But one of the things that's becoming painfully clear to me is people are going to want options. And the leaders, the company leaders that are going to soar, the companies that are going to soar, that are going to listen and ask their employees what they prefer, and then work around them. We all know we're living at a time where employees have much more power than they have in recent years with the demise of unions. So first of all, if you are running a company, whether it's a global enterprise or a startup, ask your employees what they prefer. And most likely it will be some sort of hybrid situation. And if that's the case, it's up to you as you lead the company, and perhaps your deputies and your board, to lead the way in terms of creating safe spaces to connect people. Have it just relegated to the annual sales meeting or the monthly happy hour. Let's, every time we have either a Zoom meeting that also has a physical side to it, let's make sure we do some sort of icebreaker at the beginning of the meeting that isn't about the weather, unless of course it's 103 degrees.
Yes.
And then
All right,
we about the weather.
Yeah. All right, we only have about a minute left, so I really want to ask you about your Gather, Ask, Do method.
Sure. The Gather, Ask, Do method is the methodology in my book to literally lead a professional life of building more meaningful connections. In the gather phase, you do the deep, meaningful reflection internally to find out what are your hopes and dreams, what are your challenges, what do you want to accomplish in the next 4 years, 4 months, 4 weeks. And then think about who you want to connect with or reconnect that not only can help you, but you can help. Then you can move on to the ask phase, which is where you learn to ask the meaningful questions of others so that you can find out what's important to them. what are their hopes and dreams and challenges. And if you listen carefully, you can gather the data to go to the do phase. And in the do phase, it's when you follow up, when you said you're going to do something. It's when you become trustworthy, reliable, dependable, all the things we want to be, both professionally and personally.
Just some great advice there. Thanks to her for that.